Beautiful soul, welcome to my channel. This is our end of days, and that's DAZE. As usual, just one continuous streaming footage. I don't think there should be any interruptions, but you never know. So, like, no edits, no nothing. All right, just going forward. Um, I was just crying, you guys. I don't cry every day, but I almost do. I've just been getting in touch with feelings and stuff. Oh, I forgot I was wearing these earbuds. Um, I'm just going to kind of get into it. Light and darkness, you guys. I know on my channel I do my best to describe things because words are just words. And it's very important to define the words you were using in the context that we're using. Otherwise, they don't mean anything, or there's misinterpretations. And I know darkness has often been portrayed as evil. And I understand why. I absolutely understand why. Uh, I have more of a tendency to lean toward more of like I guess a Taoist point of view, where darkness is feminine. It's the yin. It's the unknown, and light would in this case be the yang, the masculine, the known, and the implications that this has for us. All right, is huge, guys. It's huge. Now, I'm a male, all right, obviously. I always talk about on our channel how human beings were comprised of both feminine and masculine energy, which is, great, but there's been like a deep wound within me personally. And I just wanted to, I guess, talk about it. And it's kind of what I was crying about, even. And not crying like over, but just feeling, you guys, just feeling it. And I know it's not going to be the same for everybody else. To me, it's this realization, and I think it's why I must be here on this world. To some degree. Maybe there's other reasons too, but like, if I can just get into it, I guess. And this may or may not make sense. I'm going to do my best to make it make sense to somebody who's not me or outside of myself, allegedly. But I think a lot of people wonder why I I persist as I do. Like no matter how many times, if in my spinning, right, like with the baton. If you guys know, you know, right? But this baton, right? It's just a metaphor in so many different ways, and I can do kind of tricks with it. I'm not going to do it here. There's not a lot of room, uh, but I can do tricks with it. But in the process of doing that, I drop it, you know, and especially when I'm out like in public and if I'm spinning it and I drop it in public, a lot of that shame stuff comes up, just like, oh crap, everybody probably thinks I'm an idiot, just whatever it comes, everybody's judging me, there's a see, I'm no good at this, I should just stop it, there's so many different like negative thoughts, I guess is the best way to put it, that can arise with that. And so for me, picking it back up and going on is of the utmost importance. Um, and it's a metaphor, and I would say it's what God showed me. It's been my experience where it's just like, if I don't pick up that baton, does that mean it's the end of my life? Nope. My life still goes on. And it means in this case, right, just drawing a direct metaphor, because that's all that it is. It's a symbol, all right, in this particular case. It means I stop learning. It means I'm letting these dark thoughts, and I don't mean dark in the way that I meant, but just like these negative, condemning thoughts dictate my reality, dictate how I'm going to continue to live. And no, I don't know what to say. No, like that's why I keep picking back up the baton. If I thought and I have experienced that, okay, I dropped the baton and man, I'm really embarrassed, or that sucked, or I dropped it on my foot and it's one of my heavier ones, and it really hurt. You know, if I could, and I mean this, all right, if I could just not pick up the baton and then cease to exist, I would have done that. All right. But that's what I experienced, is that even in the darkest times, even in the most horrible mistakes or life circumstances that I was living in, I continued to exist. And if I abandon myself in those instances, which for me in this case would be, not picking up the baton again, it is reliving that pain. It's staying in that pain forever. And no, just no. I mean, everybody has to learn their own, not has to, but everybody's on their own journey. And we learn things at the pace that we learn things, I think. And there's arguments even that we're all just, consciousness is just one monad, one particular thing, light and darkness and everything. And I can see that as well. But the stories that I've integrated were not ones of, ooh, yeah, right, we're gonna go on an adventure. This is, the monad is so wonderful and big and beautiful, and it's going to split itself apart and have these multiple different experiences because it's beautiful. No, that's not the context of the story that I felt. That's not the context of what I experienced. If anything, it was the opposite. That this fragmentation happened due to, I think, a realization and a perspective. And so this is also why I live in a paradox, I feel like, because it is within this paradox where there is relief, where there is truth. And I just do my best to kind of communicate that in various ways. And so this is just a story that I'm saying to you guys right now. All right, don't take it with a grain of salt. If it resonates with you, great, and I'm sorry. Then you probably have felt very similar to me in many different ways. But it's like I have this memory of being like a unified consciousness, just like one whole consciousness, and then having this thought or this realization where I am alone. And that was not a happy thought. It was not this, oh, yay, I'm alone. It was just like I'm alone. And in the scope of eternity, and knowing that I would always be alone, I couldn't handle it. And so I fragmented myself with just that realization, just that thought. And this is like everything here is just this experience of this fragmentation, which is why I'm experiencing myself as an individual, and then you as an individual, and them as an individual, and them as an individual, and us as all these different individuals, is because of this fragmentation. And I like I said, guys, this is just a story, okay? Don't take it on if it doesn't resonate, okay? Um, for me, this is why it has been difficult to reconcile certain things where I have wanted to be whole. But in the process of becoming more whole, I become more alone. And then this experience of being alone starts to come more to the surface. And then I think the unconscious pull then is to go deeper into an illusion, go deeper into fragmentation, because it's, safe there, because I'm not alone then. But the ironic part is that going deeper into that kind of fragmentation, where we're all experiencing ourselves as individuals, and I only point one finger at me, right? So as I experience myself more as an individual who is fragmented and separate from other individuals or everything, God itself, it becomes worse. It makes the aloneness feel even more um, unbearable. And that separation is more in my face because I see other people who interact with me as an individual. And so we're both individuals. But then this individual, in this case, just for this example, has certain needs that they want met, and they are going to meet these needs through lying to me, through attempting to control me, through attempting to manipulate me. And it's a way for, from what my perspective, it's a way for them to feel like they have control over their environment. If anything, it might be a way for them to feel more whole within themselves, because with them at this top of this pyramid, right, so to speak, things can be unified underneath them. And so it feels like it's going more toward this unification, this wholeness. But the way I see it, that is just a deeper level of fragmentation for everybody involved, because no individual should be at the top of any pyramid, if you ask me. Like, it just doesn't work that way. There's arguments that could be made, in certain cases and everything, but I think in this particular case, what I'm particularly talking about, just no. Anybody who goes down that particular path, what I see? Them being even more desperate, more driven to manipulate others, to control others, to force people underneath them so that they can keep things whole. And this is just from their perspective. The people who are underneath this are being manipulated. And if this is the way that it is, oh, well, I can now be whole because I am denying myself. I am keeping myself fragmented rather than express myself as the divine, as an aspect of the divine, which is conscious, which is free, rather than having an interaction with myself as another individual who is also free, who is also liberated. It ends up being this hierarchy. And this hierarchy is something that I would say is varying levels of unconsciousness. And it's just horrible, you guys. It's just like the way that I see it. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And I feel like this way of living, this hierarchy, which has been created, and I don't know what to call it, you guys. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here, all right? But it's like this unconscious hierarchy that is establishing order through chaos, all right? That is establishing unification despite the fragmentation, or even maybe because of the fragmentation, because there needs to be some kind of unification, even when there's fragmentation, all right? It is just not a fun time. That's basically just what I've gotten. And then it creates this dynamic too. And this is what I was crying about, you guys. Like, if I can just surmise it, all right? Like, there is a holistic way to look at this, all right? I believe in the firmest of firm beliefs that it's more of a round table than a pyramid, okay? Like, that I can be part of a link or a chain or a greater structure as an individual, but my appearance, my image, right, is in the likeness of God. So if God is this circle, right, then what's making up this circle is circles. It's like a fractal. I feel like that's closer to the truth. And that in doing so, like, we model ourselves after the greater consciousness. And that is how the greater consciousness expresses itself through us, is as we become more, linked in to our consciousness, to the greater consciousness, both simultaneously exist. where yes, there is this greater consciousness, and yes, there is this smaller individual consciousness, and that it's beautiful, and that this interaction is actually beautiful for all involved, because now this greater consciousness, which has been unified, has another consciousness to interact with. And then this little consciousness has a bigger consciousness to be a part of, to belong to. And it's just meshes. It just meshes so much. And in that case, it's beautiful, you guys. It's absolutely beautiful. And so to totally sidestep this, right? That's great revelation, right? One of the things that I need to admit to, like feeling super depressed over, and helpless, and not seen in a good light. It's probably just my perspective, and I can say this intellectually and everything, but emotionally it still, rocks me. It still rocks me. It's getting better though. But it's this, like, let's say I'm an individual consciousness, I'm a soul, and I've incarnated upon Earth thousands of times, maybe hundreds of thousands of times, maybe millions of times, maybe billions of times. And there's always something more to learn. There's never a point from this heavy density of Earth that I can be like, well, I learned everything. There's nothing more to learn. I've grown as much as I can. I'm perfected. I'm enlightened to the point of, I don't need to be any more enlightened. I've learned everything I can. That doesn't exist. Like, and I want to get to a place where that's a great claim. It's beautiful, where it's just like, ooh, cool. I can learn more, and the forgetting isn't that bad. And, everything serves a purpose. But, like, maybe it's this lifetime, maybe it's other lifetimes. I don't fucking know what I'm processing right now, to be specific. But it's just like, I have really wanted it to end. Like, I wanted this to stop. And all of the scenarios, because, like, I have this ability, whether you want to believe it or not, it's up to you. I could just be imagining all of this, right? In more ways than one. But from what I'm able to use and discern and project forward into the future, even if, all right, I was able to gain momentum and to get everybody at every aspect of consciousness on board with this type of annihilation, so that we don't have to do this anymore. We can finally be done with this kind of growth, with this kind of learning. We can be done. All right. I feel like, to an unconscious degree, maybe even conscious, this is what some specific types of religions, a version, all right, I'm just saying a version of Gnosticism is even about, where it is like, this world, this illusion, this construct is evil. And so the point is to get out of it. The point is to destroy it. And then from there, right, we can build then, right? But no, like, for me, from where I stand, what I wanted, building again is the antithesis of what I was aiming for, what I wanted. I wanted pure annihilation. I wanted complete annihilation. Where it's just like, oh, yeah, destroy this construct and all constructs forever. Like permanently. To the point where there's no differentiation between anything anymore. And even in the realities, the timelines where that run, is successful, there is this spark, there's this big bang or little bang or whatever, but there's always something which begins it again. And no matter how many times this happens, all right, that also happens. And so, like, for a big part of my life, it's just kind of like, I would say, especially since I became more aware and I've been either carrying this burden or whatever it is, I do want to have fun. I do identify with people's pain. Ugh. I feel like I had been in such a depth of despair. Um, and it was even before some of the more traumatic, like physically traumatic moments of my life, I should say. Maybe it's a slip of the tongue, who knows. But even since like an early age, I felt this heaviness that I'm talking about. And what am I supposed to do with it? What am I supposed to do with it, you guys? Where it's just like I feel that desire. Like I know that I'm alone, right? And so why not just annihilate everything so that everything's one, and then there doesn't have to be a reflection upon anything. I won't even know if I'm alone or not because everything will just be annihilated. And that never happens. There's always something that's going to cast a reflection. There's always going to be a light in the darkness, just like there's always going to be darkness, in my opinion, right, that surrounds the light. And so, if anything, I've been aiming, especially this year. 42, answer to the world, right? Answer to the universe, right? The question of the universe. If you know the Douglas Adams, books, um, cohesion, cohesiveness. I believe and I hope that darkness and light can coexist in a way where it isn't this battle. It isn't this destructive battle. And that if we are doomed to eternity together, all right, if I am the darkness and I am the light, how do I proceed from here? Because I feel that, you guys, it's just like, I don't know how to explain it, but just like if I am the light in this case and the darkness is surrounding me, it's just like I love the darkness, all right? As the masculine, I love the feminine, all right? I absolutely love it. And I will always exist. I can't be destroyed, all right? And I'm not seeking to destroy the darkness at all because it would, like, that's the irony of everything, is that if the darkness was to be destroyed in this case, it's a false paradigm. It means there's no more unknowns. It means I know everything. That's the ultimate enlightenment that I was talking about before. And the way that I see reality working is it would just create an artificial box around oneself, a prison, all right, where someone is just constantly stagnating. And in that case, the way that I see reality working, that stagnation isn't a static place. It's a place of like decomposition, of further fragmentation in this case. And just maybe as an individual, I fragmented enough, you guys. Like I've seriously, I feel like I fragmented enough. I could keep fragmenting, just like I feel like we all can. And individuals who experience, like deep psychosis or fractured personalities or anything, which might be, I'm trying to think of the word, further expressed and heightened through rampant drug use, through participating in thoughts, behaviors, entertaining ideas or perspectives which are also very negative. All right. That would further fuel that fragmentation. And from a particular perspective, which I was just talking about, right? It's a service. It's the martyrdom. It's the holy service, right? Yes, I should hate myself. Yes, I should hate the world and hate everything, because in doing so, I am destroying the world. And then in doing so, I am doing a service because this world needs to be destroyed. Do I really believe that? It depends on how much energy I want to put into it. What point in time you ask me that, right? But from now, all right, in this now moment, and from me moving forward too, just no. I've seen that for me is not the purpose, and that in participating in those kind of thoughts, in that kind of energy, it is just making things worse. And it's not only making things worse for me, it's making things worse for everybody else. And so now you know a little bit more about me, right? You know, a little bit more into the sane or insane ramblings inside my being. All right, this is why, you know, right? If I drop this, I'm picking it back up. Okay, like this is why no matter what happens, how much I screw up, whatever happens in the world or anything to me, I'm gonna keep on going, and I'm not going to give up. It's because it's not that there is no giving up, but just that kind of giving up is it's painful, and it's only necessary to see and to experience that it's unnecessary. But it's an important lesson, like I'm glad I got to learn it. And this is why it's just like I'm not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of those things. It's at this point, gosh, man, I would say I'm not afraid of anything, and that's not necessarily true. Like, I'm probably afraid of the mundane things, getting up in front of a crowd, exposing myself to other people, and I'm working on it too, where it's all about perspective. I if me dropping the stick in front of other people, right? In this case, right? If I drop it or make a fool of myself, I'm recontextualizing it where, hey, we're all human. All right. I'm giving you permission to or not necessarily you, maybe you too, right? But I'm just like, I'm giving permission to anybody who sees me drop this and then pick it up to be like, hey man, we're all like that. We've all screwed up, and it's okay. We just keep picking it back up, and maybe picking it up, if maybe I'm tired of this, right? And so maybe picking it up looks different. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but it's continuing forward. No matter how hard it is, no matter what's happened in our lives, no matter how deep the pain is, it's this simultaneous crazy thing where it's to never let go and to always be willing to let go. And this is what I mean about living in the paradox, all right, where it's like letting go is hard, but holding on is hard too, or it can be. Both of them can be. And there are certain stances that I had in my life where I was like fiery, like I was passionate about. I really wanted to be of service to this world, to other people, and to myself. All right. And I was willing to be that martyr. I was willing to sacrifice things and to make a hard stance on things that I really did not like. And I saw things in the world that I did not like. And so I went hard on certain things. And what I was shown, what God showed me, by any other name would smell as sweet, but just what God showed me was that, all right, I see your intent. My name's Keith, by the way, if you didn't know already. But just like, all right, Keith, I see your heart. I see how willing you are to be a martyr, to die for this cause. All right. Now let me show you. If you allow yourself to die right now for this cause, as you are willing to, it actually injures your cause. The very things, the very intention that you have within your heart is going to be undermined. And so there it is. Now, what's your choice now? And so I had to make a choice. And I could have held on. I could have said, no, that's the devil. It's trying to deceive me. It's trying to get me to see something else and just bear down. And, well, I wouldn't be here right now, guys, to be honest. And a part of me wanted to do that, but the part of me which wanted the truth, which really wanted the truth more than anything else, I knew it was true. And this is what I mean by letting go too, where it's just like in that particular case, I had to humble myself. I had to do what I thought was evil. A younger me would have judged me for giving in to certain forces, to a certain way of things, which I would have rather died than give in to. But the path that I was shown in that particular case, I chose humility. I chose to keep going. I had to let go of what I knew to be true in that case. And I'm still here, and I walk that road every day where it's just like, hey, right? On one hand, I don't know anything. All right. On the other hand, I know exactly what I need to know. And I'm always learning. And in my better moments, it's fun, and it's great. I'm provided for. I'm safe. At the moment, things are pretty good. I'm dry. The video I made earlier today was raining and everything. And so at the moment, I'm dry. Everything's okay. I'm able to film this relative quiet. It's good. Um, and just on the worst days, it's, it is what it is, you guys. And so I just wanted you to be a part of this, for you to see me, in a more vulnerable state. That it's okay. All right. I can, at the very, very least, I'm here, if anything, that's what I would want. It's one of those things that I really wanted to be, when I was younger too. It's just like, man, I really wish that I could be with everybody simultaneously, so that when they're really, really down, I would be there and I'd be like, hey, it's okay. You know, Screwed up as it is, there's a way forward. There's a way to keep doing this. And I guess I've learned to tap into that to myself, you know, and who knows, right? There's many different ways to say it. Maybe that is one's personal Jesus. All right. Maybe that's one's guardian angel, um, ancestors, loved ones. Maybe the label doesn't matter. Maybe it's that feeling. Maybe it's that awareness, that energy, that frequency, that just there is a part of ourselves which is there for us, which is there for us in every moment, even the hard ones. And that once we get in contact with that, we never have to abandon ourselves ever again. So I'll leave it at there, okay? And I won't explain the flip side. You'll have to see other videos, okay? If you want me to explain it. So, you know, I'm trying to plug this. It's stupid, you guys. Oh my god, you don't want to hear me talk about how stupid all this crap is sometimes. Like running the algorithm and the games and all. Like to me, it undermines like authenticity sometimes. It doesn't have to. I'm trying to live better about it. So I'm just gonna say it. Like it or not, judge me or not, I don't freaking care, right? But it helps me. All right, as an individual, as some random guy here on YouTube. All right, if you like it, give me a like. Okay. If you want to see more of this, if you want to see more of me being vulnerable in front of a camera, subscribe. Okay. And my intention, if I'm building any kind of movement or anything, any subscriber base, any kind of money, I want authenticity and us being able to be there for each other in the ways that we can be. Sometimes even challenging each other's beliefs. That's not a bad thing, you guys. I've heard in Christian circles, right? And I don't know the exact part of the book or anything, but steel sharpens steel. And sometimes, especially if we're really stuck in a negative pattern, or if we're really gung ho about something, like I was, all right, and I had to have a different perspective, to be shown certain things, where my martyrdom was not serving me. I needed someone to challenge me, and luckily, God was there with me. Was able to show me, was able to challenge me in that way. And I also believe that we can be here as individuals and challenge each other too, and be there. Like, if we're challenging each other, it's not to be better than somebody else. It's not to have dominance in this artificial hierarchy. Like, oh, I'm better than you, and so that's why I'm challenging you and your beliefs. No, it's so that we can be more holistic. Okay, it's so that we can love each other and support each other. Like, truly, like, not only just encourage each other through confirmation, but encourage each other through challenging the parts of ourselves which want to be challenged, because that part of me which was willing to die for stupid things and felt like I had to suffer for stupid things, wanted to be challenged. And I was, and because of my love for the truth, it's one of those things. Was I defeated? It's arguable, you guys. One level I felt like I was, but it was in the way that I could only be defeated. Because if I'm striving for the truth and I fight in the truth and I stand in the truth and then I'm defeated, it means there's a new truth. It means that I have expanded my repertoire and now I have a more encompassing stance within the truth. And so, no, I wasn't defeated. I acknowledged the lesson. Okay, so I'll leave it there, you guys. I'm tired. I gotta get to bed here. I don't know the freaking time. Oh my god, I gotta get it going here. So, thanks, guys. Thanks for being part of my journey. As I'm part of yours. Thank you. Peace out. Love within. I'll catch you guys on the flip side, okay? Just as you catch me.